Puca.
I'm here.
Holy shit. Yo, you're a guest now.
I know. It feels nice.
All right,
It's
so
nice.
what do you think? What do you think of the
Did
studio?
you figure out all the mic volumes and everything? Like mine will be perfect. Okay.
Yours is good. And I
The
can
only reason I'm
adjust.
saying that is I talk loud. I get loud sometimes.
It's gonna
No
be
Diddy.
all right. No, it'll be all right.
Anything
you,
I
bro.
say that's any kind of diddler, no Diddy podcast. You can't frame me for it. even with these lights here, Diddy on me.
Oh well, they were gonna be on, but
No.
Puca
don't like no
like
lights
he don't
on my
like the
seat.
guest special.
I don't like no lights on my seat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll show you guys. Hold on.
So there you go. Look at that. See, he's legit.
I don't like it. All right. But thank you, man. It's nice to be a guest. Like, you have no idea. It's I can see why people like being here. Like, being a guest, you just feel important.
Yeah, it feels good. It's
Like,
different.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about you. I don't give a fuck about you right now. Like,
That's great.
I'm like more like, all right, how do you make me feel great, bro?
Well, that's how we're gonna get started, dude. For those who don't know, obviously, I joined you on the Puca Circle podcast, season 4, the whole season, co-hosted.
It's facts.
And you've been podcasting for now it's 5 seasons.
Yeah, 5 seasons.
And then you had a podcast before.
I had a podcast before. 2 podcasts before.
Yeah, so you've been doing it a long time, and you never give up.
And it only took half an episode for Anthony to surpass me in the technology department. Bro, but no, I'm so happy for you, man. Like, you got everything figured. I knew the the cable stuff, like, that's least of important to me, but it's like I already knew you were gonna handle that. But it's like the other stuff, man. Like, it's nice. If everyone can see, you should do, bro. You take your own advice. B-roll. Like,
I know. I'll put some B-roll.
Like, if you guys could see the camera setup, the computer thing, the arrangements.
Here, we'll do it live.
nice.
We'll do it live.
It's just nice, man. It's beautiful. It's a good setup. It's a 5 out of 5 crowns in my book.
5 out of 5?
Yeah, 5 out of 5.
I got that first try?
Yeah, man. Everything's dope. The only thing I was worrying about, that desk is like indenting in. Just be careful.
Yeah, the desk.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah. It's indenting?
It's going like this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't think your brother's fake for not telling you, bro.
Oh, come on, Mike.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah, it is. Actually, I can see that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Heavy ass monitors.
Yeah, it's going to collapse.
But yeah, man. You tell me how we were going to work this out. This is BVM, bro.
Yeah, welcome. You're the first guest, technically, sitting in these seats. Yeah, we did a podcast, but it didn't work out. We got to do it again. But Puca, thanks for being on. You're definitely going to be on top 3, 100%.
I hope so, man.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I wonder when he's gonna invite me, man. This guy's been on like every episode of my podcast,
and now he's doing his own thing.
And no, bro, and I'm proud of you, bro. You're still up there. One of the, I think, which one? The one that we did that was really good. That everyone really, I got a lot of feedback on that one.
I don't know.
Taking the first step.
That one?
That one's still like praised to be like a really good episode because people got to see a different side of you.
Yeah, no, I never really let that side out. Because you don't know who's, sometimes people don't know if they're, they want to like hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. But everything's great here.
Yeah, man. Hey, we're here. It took a couple months. So before we did season 4, we recorded it here in this space. And this was one of the black walls. That was a black wall. And then there was some drywall here.
I think that's why I'm so amazed because I saw what it was before.
Yeah, the last time you were here was in the studio.
I saw what it was before the studio, and I saw what George did in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
which is not really George. 5 minutes, but we know like the quickness of his idea came to like fruition, and now we see this, and holy shit!
This is George too, drawing out the basement.
Straight evolution on evolution on evolution. This is the 3rd stage.
It's crazy. I still can't believe we're in here.
Yeah.
It's wild, but
it's more of a shocker to me because this is my first time seeing this. So like, holy shit, it's nice.
It's fucking awesome.
It's different seeing in Mike's stories. Fuck Mike's stories. But it's nice seeing it here. Man.
And we're here live, brother. We're live.
We're not live yet.
Well,
but you know what he means. I like being a guest, right?
This is awesome, bro. Dude, we recently Well, I want to talk about the podcast more. Like,
Yeah, of course.
we went to fucking. We first you start. I think I was on season 3, an episode with Mike. Was that when we recorded in that conference room? I want to.
No,
We first,
that might be wrong.
or that's season 2.
You guys, I think, were there for season 2.
Holy shit!
Season 2 was the first season I put out. Oh no, maybe you're right. Actually,
Season 2 or 3?
fucking don't even know at this
But
point.
it
4,
started
you
in.
decided to join me.
Yeah.
3 might be right. It might have been season 3. It doesn't matter. It was early on in the seasons where you guys did. It was you and I actually. It's funny that you mentioned that. I rewatched that episode and it's so cringy because of how far it has evolved. And I mean, we're talking about Yeti mic. We're using the option where you and him are talking side to side. Where it captures,
Same mic. We shared a mic.
I don't even know how people listened to that episode and got anything out of it, as in like audio wise. Like, it was just horrible. No, but man, huge shout out to you. I mean, you were the one helping me develop most of my podcast, and a lot of the ideas was like, "Yo, Puca, you might want to invest in mics," which I did. You might want to invest in camera. That scared the shit out of me.
Voice activated shit.
Yeah, the cameras, the equipment was all you. It was just me doing it.
Yeah, well, it started off. Well, I learned a lot. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing in the beginning either. I just knew a couple things, like the software, OBS side. The cameras had no idea.
Facts.
Mics had no idea.
Facts.
And we all learned together. And we just like, I would see things, and I'd be like, all right, Puca, maybe you want to do this. You know, do what you want.
Open-minded, always.
Yeah.
I had to be open-minded because it wasn't going to get any worse, you know? That'd be pretty shocking if it got worse. But, nah, man, it's nice. It's everything. I'm just looking at everything because it's just like...
You're still taking it in. He's still taking it in.
Yeah. He hit record too early, yo. He didn't let me soak everything in. No, did he?
I mean, we could chill for a bit. You know, it is what it is.
It's good. It's good. It's you're catching raw, like,
this is
raw
a
reaction. It's just crazy. And it's also weird because I've never been a guest. So I'm actually living the guest world right now.
Which is crazy because we talked about this is your 3rd podcast and you're already on season 5. And you've had many different guests.
Yeah.
And now.
You were talking about the one with you and your brother, my bad, before I interrupted you. Yes.
He's so much better at being a host. See, you can tell. So we're back to that episode. That's how we started.
Correct.
And then I think I did an episode after to take the first step.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And that was a fun one. That was right here in the basement. We were sitting kind of like how we're sitting right now, actually.
Yeah. It was the first time you introduced to me dual cameras.
Yes. And one camera was, it was this kind of setup.
Yeah, you were the manual dude.
And I was doing production that episode.
Which is crazy. Because you did it great. You did it great. For the first time, I was like, yo, no pressure. Don't fuck it up.
Yo, because you could fuck it up pretty easily if you forget to switch the cameras, which I did. I think a couple scenes in there.
Just watch the ones that, if I could find you a clip, you'll know which ones I did it for. I did it really bad for one. I think one time I was talking the whole time and had the camera on mic. So it happens.
But out of all of that fucking figuring it all out.
Yeah.
Full season we did, and we both learned a lot.
Touché.
And man, it inspired this, what we're seeing right now. It inspired all this. Like, oh, we need a studio. Because what did we learn on that podcast with the power? Power would go out so often, guys. It was very difficult to do that podcast.
I mean, you know what's crazy though? I think that's also Andy just being a perfectionist because it only went out like 3
But when it goes out, you're like, Anthony, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, it only happened 3 times. But it's great that like if I showed you a picture of how anal this guy was now, his outlets in every fucking section. There's no way we're not gonna be able to plug something in.
Mike was tight. Mike did not like that. But I said, look, in the future, whenever you want to set something up, you're not limited.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's how I think. I
like the roof thing. Like I've never seen that ever.
You've never seen outlets in the ceiling?
No.
They do it a lot in
it blends in
studios,
nice because you're not focused on the fucking whoever walks in and just starts walking in like that. You know what I mean?
hey.
No one. So I mean, the ceiling thing is a good way of hiding them.
And it didn't cost a lot extra, like
No, it just blends in.
because we're doing the whole basement, so
Yeah, no, it looks nice. It looks nice.
and that worked. So yeah, so we did the fucking podcast and that inspired this. So shout out to Puca.
PCP.
He got me started. Puca Circle Podcast. It is, and
Please follow.
you just put out an episode with Mike, Herbert, and Fonzo.
In all honesty, it wasn't supposed to be any of them. It was supposed to be another guest. They sadly had to reschedule it, which is completely fine, completely understandable. Like I said, you're gonna go into that situation sometimes.
I already did.
Yeah.
The mic.
With your own brother that lives in the house.
Yep. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. So you're gonna run into a lot of those situations, and it there's no point in like, being angry about it or being upset. You just have to move on and pick whatever is gonna work next. Sometimes is it gonna be a repetitive guess? Fuck it, let it be. It happens. And in this case, it was supposed to be just Fonzo. And then Herbert invited himself.
All right, Herbert.
And then Mike wanted to grab dinner that day because I forgot that we said that we were going to all grab something to eat. Yeah. So then I felt like, oh, fuck it. Let me just invite this fucking kid. I haven't done it because I hadn't done a group pod in a while. The only reason I decided to do one at the end of the day was because Shane and Renee went somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I had the whole upstairs to myself.
Oh.
That's the only reason.
That's how it works.
Yes. So you got to just go with the flow.
Yeah,
so going with the flow is the way to go, man.
I mean, but it's a little bit nerve wracking. Yeah, it's chaotic. That's the right word.
But you have to get comfortable with chaos sometimes, man.
I know. I'm trying to learn from Puca. I'm trying. He's right about the perfectionist. It's a problem.
It's a great thing to have. It's a great problem, but you shouldn't limit yourself to perfection.
Yeah, because you're never gonna get it.
I told you one of the best episodes for me were the ones where I thought were complete ass.
That's crazy to say. And it's great. It's awesome that you feel that way. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just.
Well, no, I don't feel that way. I'm telling you, the only reason I know is because there's proof in the pudding. Like, I've told this to Mike, so I'm not afraid to say it. Our Banking 101 episode, I thought was mid. Like, I was like, no one's really going to listen to this shit. But I needed Mike, and me and Mike come from, that field of expertise. So we decided to just put one out. Obviously, I'm not saying it did numbers, but it's done numbers compared to my other episodes that I've ever put out. And I always wondered, I'm like, why? And I still believe that Mike somewhere secretly is going on different like incognito modes and just click on an episode.
He's stacking the numbers. He wants to be number one on the Puca Circle pod.
But I'm being serious. That one's like number 2 or 3 still. Banking 101 from no video, straight audio.
Oh, and it's audio only.
Audio only.
Oh, that's right. You started with audio only.
Yeah.
Your podcast already went through so many different phases. Yeah. What's the new phase for season 5? What is that?
It's just solo dolo with a black curtain in the back, and it was supposed to just be about overcoming obstacles, but now that's not even the main topic anymore. It's just kind of like going back to like questions, inventing games, and then still touching that topic at the very end to close it with.
Hey, and it's working good. I'm still watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's
some good stuff.
It's doing something.
Yeah. All right. So recently we went to an event. I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
This is my guy. This is my guy, Jordan Peterson. I've been watching him since 2017, and he got very popular. We won't even get into it. Most people, if you know him, if you know us, you definitely know him to some capacity, right? I don't have to give him an intro. But I've been watching him for about 7 years. He's really helped me out mentally and figure out all this shit that I had, locked up in the fucking dome. No diddy. And yeah, he's been instrumental in my self-development.
Well,
and
go a little bit about him, because I feel like people might not even know his origin, like who he is.
So he's a clinical psychologist, and he recently, in 2016, Canada put out some legislation that would ban or fine people for misgendering someone. And no one wants to misgender someone on purpose, but when you put legislation behind it, you're changing free speech laws, and that's an action you don't want to give the government, any access to. You want to always keep free speech alive. So that's what he was arguing, and people mislabeled him, called him a misogynist, transphobic, all this garbage. All of it's garbage, right? And he came out, he stood up for himself, and he cleared the water. And I don't even know if it's law anymore, but that's how he got popular.
Yeah.
And then he started talking, he had lectures. He's a professor.
Yep.
So he had a bunch of lectures on YouTube from decades before. Mm-hmm. And he used to teach at, I think, Harvard, and there's another school in Canada. I'm drawing a blank, but.
Yeah, I don't know schools. I didn't know he taught at Harvard.
He was a renowned clinical psychologist. People wanted to take his classes. He was known.
He's famous, actually. I don't know if you know this. He's actually famous around the world for his book, too. The first couple of books that he wrote.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember the title to one?
Maps of Meaning is one of them.
That's one. There's another one, though, that's a really big... It's always on the business section.
12 Rules of Life?
Yes.
But that's a newer one.
That's a newer one. Yeah, that's more to his 2018, 2019 era, I think.
Yeah, so... Yeah, Maps of Meaning. Okay, you want to know about Jordan Peterson? So his recent books are like more self-development, rules, guidelines for living a good life, which I read. I read 12 Rules for Life. There's 12 rules. There's another 12 rules.
There's
but
a
it's
green
from the
one and a yellow one, I think.
Yeah, black and white.
Black? Okay.
I think, yeah. I have them upstairs.
Yeah.
Fucking fantastic books. I didn't read the other 12 rules. 12 More Rules for Life, I think it's called. And then we just got one, We Who Wrestle with God. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I can't wait to read it. We just got it like a week ago.
Facts.
But all of this to say, we saw him in the flesh in person.
We did. Shout out to Anthony. I wasn't going to go, and he was the one that reminded me. Not reminded me. He was like, "Hey, no, you didn't even fucking tell me because you didn't. I didn't even think
I put it out there, you know."
But I feel like, did you even know that I actually knew who Jordan Peterson was?
I didn't know you follow him like that. Yeah, it did shock me. It did.
I mean, I won't lie to you. I don't follow him religiously, but I'm a big. Obviously, everyone knows this. I'm a big Joe Rogan guy, and when Joe had him on his podcast the first time, the first couple of times, first 2 times is where I got introduced to him. And this is why I always like to listen to random Rogan episodes, because half the time what I'm listening to is never what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I want to expand like my interests. And I'm like, I can't just be confined in what I'm doing. It's obviously not working, but it's also like maybe open the door to something that maybe I never knew I was curious on. And when he had Peterson on, I just loved, because Peterson is a person with a huge vocabulary, big words. So what I like that Rogan made him do is like, if he said anything like too complicated, Rogan like would say it in his way, and it's like, oh, okay, that's what he's trying to say. But Rogan, that's why it's amazing being a great host, because it's not like Rogan like waited for him to say something and then Rogan repeated it. He would let him say it, and then Rogan would give an example of what he was saying,
break it down.
But in a normal, like not that it was non-intellectual, but not to his standard, right? Because this guy's a fucking professor. I didn't even know he was at Harvard. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it paints a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
He's a genius.
Makes sense now. That makes complete sense. So that's where I got introduced to him. I just loved his values. I loved his mission. Was I so pro everything he was saying? No. But I'm not pro everything that Rogan says either.
Yeah.
But it intrigued me that he was just trying to make the future. He was trying to leave the future generation better than it is now. And that's a great thing to do.
One of his main goals, which I think is just, I don't know if you can have a better goal. And he's trying to be the father figure for people that need it. And it's one of his like missions. It's like, he's going to he treats his kids like as if they're someone he loves. That's how he describes it. And he wants to do the same for everyone else. And to do that at a scale that he does without, getting into the petty drama of Hollywood, or without, letting all that fame get to your head and money getting to your head and corrupting you. Like, he's still the same guy in 2016 that I met. And in person, when we saw him, he's the same guy. And he gets, like, when he's illustrating a point and he's like speaking in those very high level intellectual tongue, let's call it, he slows down his tone. He'll look at you directly. He will raise his voice on a more serious point. And it's just a Jordan Peterson that I love. So seeing him in person, bro, made me so fucking happy. And then I got a picture with him.
Yeah, it was great. I was
Oh,
so
man.
happy for you.
That
The
made
fact
my.
that I was even there, I was happy. I didn't think I was, like I told you, I'm so last minute with everything. Even when you did tell me, the truth to this was I delayed buying his ticket until the very end, like hours before his, like maybe like midnight of the day that he was supposed to be at Westbury. I bought his ticket. And
You got a good seat too.
yeah, I got it great. I was right behind you.
And you were right behind me.
Right behind him for a quarter of the price.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, I'm here to support the Peterson, man.
Nah,
Yo,
man.
that's the GOAT.
If money was not a problem, I'd be right next to you. I'd be doing the same thing. But
No.
obviously, still same experience until the very
We
end.
got the same experience with the
he was
book.
He was
tour.
a great, great speaker. I love the fact that he basically kind of told everyone intellectually in his own way that he was just BSing everything because he wanted to speak out of his mind.
Well, yeah,
It's crazy that he did it.
He does it.
He still looped it. He still looped it at the end of the day.
Which is how.
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy.
Like you're talking about the most complex subjects, the stories of the Bible. I mean, a lot. If you don't believe in the Bible, that's okay, not a problem. But they're complex stories, regardless if you believe in a religion or not. He broke it down. He went into one rabbit hole, came out of the rabbit hole, and went all the way back to the beginning. Literally, phrase.
Facts.
Wrapped it after an hour and a half. Wrapped it right back. I don't know how his brain is able to just follow the trail like that, but that's why he's as popular as he is, and that's why he's famous, and that's why a lot of people love him, man. He gets a lot of love, and I'm one of those guys, man. I just have to say, I got to give him his flowers. He's changed my life for the better, and he's put me in a path where now, podcasting for me, as you know, couple years ago, you'll never see it. You'd never see it.
Yeah,
it would never come to fruition.
I told you, bro. It's the fact doing it and then working on the kinks as you just like you're gonna fuck up somewhere.
But like as a shy person, very shy. You knew me.
That's why I told you. You just have to do it. And and look at the evolution. It's from appearing on an episode to appearing in a couple more
on yours
to co-hosting to getting your own thing ready. To having all this, now it's just getting a little bit better at the things that
the dialogue.
Not even the dialogue, but it's more like getting better at the things that you feel like you need improvement on, and you'll only know that as the more and more you have to edit.
There's a ton. There's a ton.
Yeah,
bro. I have a list. No.
It comes and goes, man. You'll get better at some things, and then you're just gonna have to keep putting your best foot forward. That's all it is. That's why I don't stress it out because I'm like, it can't get worse.
It can't. You've only been improving, and dude, all your episodes, there's always something you're doing a little different, which I love because that is exactly how you make micro improvements.
That's also why I realized I like editing. It's not really because I don't like editing.
No, I don't hate it.
But the reason I do edit, and I don't like to throw it out to anybody yet, because I'm not big, so I'm not wasting any of my time, and it helps me pick out ooh, shouldn't have said this there. Ooh, oh man, this is not the right timing of the thing.
Yeah, so now that you edit your own episodes, which I do as well, walk me through that. As a podcaster, do you hate the way you sound? Does that ever come up in your mind?
You know what's weird? In a lot of episodes, it's so fucking weird. I'm going to tell you the truth. I bet you when you fucking play this one to me, I'm going to be like, yo, I did not think that I sounded like that. But there are certain episodes where my voice will be a lot lower. And it's just because I'll have a cold, but I'll like it. And then you'll see me like an idiot try to imitate myself in that last episode, and then I sound like a fucking douchebag. You know what I mean? So it's there's good and bad things about editing because sometimes you're like, oh, I like that angle. I'm gonna try to get that angle next time, and then you don't realize it, but subconsciously, like in this one. How many times are you probably gonna see me look into the camera like that? You know what I mean?
You're used to it. Yeah.
But it's not. I'm not used to it because I don't have a 2-camera setup. But I feel like I'm in the office right now, and I like to look at the camera. So
interesting.
That's a weird habit of mine now. As a guest, this is something that you're gonna see a lot.
I mean,
but as a host, I wouldn't be looking at. As a host, I'd be looking at that screen behind you. I'd be wanting this to be the orange seat so I can look to make sure that everything's running smoothly, so I don't look at the camera.
oh my God, look at this. It's like extreme confidence. I don't have to look at it. No, a lot of things could go wrong right now. And I'm actually glad Puka has some experience of this. You know, a lot actually.
Yeah.
And he could tell.
not a
We use
lot,
the same
not a lot.
software.
Yeah, use same software.
Yeah,
but
so at least
there's plugins and shit that he put on that I have no fucking clue what the fuck.
I'm gonna put it all for you, bro. I got you.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
Okay, I got you, bro. And yeah, man. So yeah, with all that, Jordan Peterson, it was so nice to meet him in person, and yeah, I'm honored.
What
man.
was your favorite thing about the Peterson thing?
The
Other than the fact meeting you're like a hero of yours, not hero, but someone that you look up to.
It's just honestly, I was more starstruck than anything. But my favorite part of the whole event is just he really cares about what he does, and he broke down things that I haven't thought about yet, and he's still able to do that after 7 years. Like, I feel like
That's
after
crazy.
20 years of watching him, he's still going to be talking about things that's going to go over my head. And that is just an incredible feeling, because just hearing how he speaks, where you were talking about before, like, all right, I'm going to need Rogan to break this shit down, because it's tough. It's dense.
Yeah, sometimes
it's very,
it gets dense. Like in the beginning,
yeah.
Let's reference that. In the beginning, he was losing me.
Yeah,
Not
of course.
just 'cause he was repeating the same thing, but the way he was using different words to say the same thing. Like, I only caught it because I'm like, oh wait, he said that before. He literally repeated the same thing 30 different ways.
He's very
30
specific.
different words.
Yeah, his thing is like, I'm gonna say it to you 5 different ways, but all different in their own ways to illustrate the point in every kind of perspective.
Which makes sense.
Which is like, yeah. I mean, it's just a technique he has. But man, dude, yeah, that I would say that would be my favorite thing. It's just like, there's always so much to learn, and he's like, just to hammer it down, he's exactly the same as he is in his podcast, man. It's like, it goes without saying. And then he's just so personable, man. He's so personable. Like, when I shook his hand, he's like, "Oh, you have a nice suit." I was like, "Thank you." And then he's just like very nice.
You like the fact that
he's polite.
What you envisioned is exactly what you saw.
Yeah, like, and even if it wasn't, I'd still be okay with it, because, you know, you talked about this before, but like, you don't agree with everything he says. Neither do I. Neither does everyone else. And I hate the fact that if we find one thing about someone, it's a reason to hate him and crucify him, when we should be, hey, I'm glad he thinks something a little different, because it's boring, man.
Exactly. Why would you want to be looking at a mirror all the whole time?
Yo, exactly. We don't want to look at a mirror all the time.
No.
Like, I love the fact that he thinks a little differently on this, and maybe it's a chance for a nice discussion to come out of it.
Yeah, of course.
Like, do you want to talk to someone who has it all figured out for everything? No. Because then you're gonna look in the mirror and be like, "Holy shit, he knows everything."
Yeah, the only reason I said that too is because there was a clip, and you know, there's probably more to the clip that, you know, that what he said and broke down. But there was a clip I didn't like about him. And he basically says in the clip, summarizing. Like I said, there could be more to the clip. I don't know if he was, you know, I don't know if he was actually set in stone with what he said. But in the clip, he says that he doesn't think that a lot of people should be asking God for everything. God is not a genie. I'm sure you've seen this clip.
Yeah, I love this clip.
And it kind of rubbed me off the wrong way, because I'm like, yes, I agree with him like 60% of what he said. We shouldn't be asking for everything, but he should also not be dictating on how people have their relationship with God. Because to some, God, you know, respect whatever religion you practice, but some people love that fact that they feel like they can be comfortable with God and speak about everything. And it may not just be request. It could be just like, this is how my day went. I just want you to know. And
so without asking for things, you're kind of conversating.
Yeah. And what I didn't like is that he's kind of like telling you like, oh, like he's not a genie, but I mean, does his miracles, you know, you put in the same imagery of a genie. Obviously, we don't think that he's a genie,
Mm.
but we know that if we talk to him, have a relationship with him, and no matter how it works, because every person's gonna have a different relationship with God. I just didn't like how he said like you shouldn't be asking for things like that.
Mm.
Like I said, I agree to a certain extent, but I don't think you should also be telling people like don't do that. Like
If that's how you felt after, yeah, I would agree as well.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because everyone has a different relationship with God.
exactly.
But the part that I really liked about what he said there, I'll tell you, is a lot of people misuse the relationship they have, and they expect, like, because it's not practical. And I'll tell you why. Like, people will say like, "Oh, God help me with this," but put no effort. And that relationship, although it's their relationship with God and they're entitled to it and God bless them, it's not effective.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. I agree with 60% of what he said. But
Right.
like I said, I know that clip was there for clickbait because it angered me, and I was like, okay, whoever clickbaited this did its job.
Did it show?
But I bet you there was more to it than what he was saying that I didn't go and listen to it yet because I haven't listened to his podcast. I've only listened to the episodes where he's majority of the time a guest. So I listened to him on that one. Even Full Send with the Nelk Boys.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had him. I listened to that
I didn't
one.
even see that one, I don't think.
And I love the fact that he can do that. I mean, obviously, it's smart marketing. 'Cause they're just idiots, but at the same time, they're idiots that are trying to change. You could see them trying to mature and trying to get their audience to, even though they're still the same pranksters and idiots sometimes. It's nice to see that they can have that side, and they're blessed to have that side because they have so much money that they don't have to really worry about the consequences, and they're networked with amazing people that can still do that and still be adults at the same time, which is beautiful. I can't do that because I can't be like, if I did anything stupid like them, I'm going straight to jail or I'm going fucking so much legal settlements that are going to be up my ass that I'm fucked. You know what I mean? But I love the fact that they can still joke around and have a good time because they don't have to worry about the bill that's coming to them or the consequences because they're fucking filthy. They're filthy rich.
Man, that's one thing about money is it changes your life in that way. Like, you start taking things for granted. Like, the average person can't do that. Like, we'd be fucked. Yeah, so that's a great point. I like your point about the relationship with God. I mean, that's
Yeah.
gold.
No, like
That's
I said,
gold.
I
That's
know
gold.
I know Peterson's definitely said a lot more. Trust me, I'm not
No,
ignorant to
yeah.
it, but that clickbait was so good. It's like, damn, bro, that's a good one.
But I like that. I like what you said though. Is like, we should not dictate people's relationship with God. Like, that is,
But you're right.
100% true.
But what you said after is exactly what I'm perfectly 100% sure that's what Peterson said too. It's like he used that example. Like, you shouldn't just ask and then not do anything. Like that's using God as a genie.
That's exactly.
That's not what God is. God will, God works differently for everybody else. But I'm sure that if you ask for something, just like in anything in life, you have to go and do it or attempt to try to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which is a whole thing we could get into. But let's actually talk about, you recently have a newfound relationship with God, or you've grown it more recently. Is that fair assessment?
The second part I think is fair. I've definitely grown it. I've always believed in Jesus. I've always believed in God. Coming from a Latin family, a Latino family, my family's always been Roman Catholic. I was a little bit for some reason my mom was a little bit different with me, and I don't know if she did it purposefully or if she did it accidentally, but I wasn't baptized when I was a baby.
Oh.
Like normal people. Not normal, but like most traditional families. In being from a Roman Catholic, you baptize within the first 2 years of the baby.
Right.
And I never asked my mom honestly why she never baptized me. It just became a thing where she didn't. My sister, my brother were both baptized as babies.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my cousins, my nieces, all baptized as babies. And I was just
you were like the black sheep.
I was the black sheep, yeah. And then as I got older in high school, my mom, I guess she noticed. I mentioned this before. I wasn't an idiot, but I was someone that was very. I didn't give a fuck about what was really going to happen to me like high school, and I tested boundaries, and I got away with a lot of things. And my mom kind of, I received, trust me, for every bad action I took as a kid, I got my ass kicked. Like I got the fucking belt to the fucking body. I was grounded. I got my phone taken away. But I got beat so many times. Like I told you, it's crazy. And, I still love my mother, by the way. My dad never laid his finger on me, but I think my mom came to a point where she realized like, oh, I never baptized this kid. Like I never fucking did anything religiously. So she decided to one day just tell me, David, I know, I'm gonna put my foot down. You're going to church and you're gonna do these Bible lessons and you're gonna, get ready for your baptized, your first communion and all that. For some reason the church that I went to, like shout out to Long Beach Church, they had a program where I could do all of it within a week. Like not like I had to do the whole summer program, but I was gonna get baptized, my first communion, like all this shit.
What age were you?
I was 16.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, my mom saw me transitioning into a young man, and she's like, "Before the devil gets you," like that was kind of like her reasoning. Like, before the devil gets you, I want you to enter your manhood now with God. So, like any rebellious kid, like at first I said no, fuck that, and I'm not doing that. But mom and dad are always gonna win. So I did it. I did my first communion and everything. I didn't feel anything holy. I didn't feel anything. I got baptized. I'll be honest, like I didn't feel a connection with God, but I still believed in Jesus Christ. I don't know why. It could have been just like a traditional thing. But as I got older, I started but like I started feeling certain like weird glimpses of a bond with God. Like my first very like profound thank you to God was probably when we sold my house in Island Park.
Yeah, walk me through that. Yeah.
I was really sad. I didn't tell anyone. I was really sad and upset that I was leaving this house that I had a beautiful home for. And it was a weird feeling, but I was going through the rooms, just reminiscing because everything was empty. We were basically ready to move out. And when I went back to my room, I felt like a weird, warm feeling in me. And it just told me to, just say thank you. Say thank you to God. For some odd reason, right? So I'm like, all right. I said it. I'm like, thanks, God. It's been a beautiful time here. Appreciate you. Appreciate everything you've done for me and my family. Good looking out. That was it. But it started like that. And I've always had that in the back of my head that I believed in God. I believed in Jesus. All those little Bible lessons were enough for me to at least say out loud to myself, thank you, God, for this experience.
That's pretty significant, though, to say it out loud. Like,
Yeah,
I've never really done something like that. So you've done that throughout after 16 till now, here and there, you would.
I was probably like 19 or 20 when I moved out of Island Park. So
from then you would say it out loud.
Yeah, from then I started realizing like, oh, like maybe there is maybe there is, like I knew there was like in my head I always said to myself there was a God. But I always said to myself, like I always used the bullshit excuse where I didn't have to go anything further. Like in my head I was just like, as long as I pray and I say thank you and I'm grateful, I'll always be the son of the great God. Like I'll be a person that's been just blessed to be here. Like, because let's just take God out of it for a second. The fact that I'm sure you've heard this on Instagram Reels, on TikTok Reels. The fact that we're in this place right now is just incredible. It's just like, it's just fucking, you smart head could tell me like what the fucking chances of that is. It's like, it's impossible. Like to tell us that we're in this moment right now, it's crazy. It's in history already. Like it's done. Like it's wild.
Damn,
you know what I mean? So like,
wow.
And the more and more I've been intrigued and learning more about myself and just more about like, and I've also been that kid. I haven't been an atheist, but I've always been a kid that questioned God. Now, shout out to Gabby Mayo, because she used to be a girl that used to preach to me about God all the time. I've had people that preached to me about God, and I always felt like a different, like this, not that I was like pissed off at them, but I always felt like, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, you don't have to rub, like, I'm a believer.
Don't force it down.
Yeah, like, I'm a believer. Yeah. Like, go do that to people that don't believe. But I felt like those people were purposely in my life because these are the people that I'm remembering. now when I'm fully coming to like
Look at that.
a true realization that I was such an ignorant person back then that I'm believing in it now because, bro, when they say that like God appears to you people in different ways, I truly believe that because I had to be completely in the worst position in my life to realize that I wasn't a true believer. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh my God. That's so powerful.
Yeah, you know some of my story. Like,
Yeah.
when it comes to my financial situation, it was so like we're talking about months. Yo, bro, season 4. I promise you that, and this is the funny thing. Like I told you, I wasn't supposed to have you for season 4. A lot of people don't know this. Season 4 was just supposed to be my season. And then you came in at the last second because I think I was going to record that next week because that was when you guys went to AEW.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yep,
And,
100%.
You called me and you just said, and this is what I'm telling you, God works in funny ways. You said, I know it might be too late, but you tell me, want to make this work? It's all up to you. And I said, now let's make this happen. And it just came out of my mouth. Like, no homo. It just came out of my I gotta throw the funny in, bro. I gotta throw the funny. Even when we're talking about serious about God, God knows me, so I still gotta be this dumbass, like funny dude. But it just came to me. Like I didn't even want to answer you, but it just came out. It's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, what? I have an episode next week already planned out. Like, what am I?
How am I gonna do this?
Like,
oh
yeah,
shit!
like,
Why did I say yes to this guy?
Yeah, and I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, whatever. You know, I'll make it work. And we did end up making it work. You know, we did that Giselle episode separate, and then everything else was down here in the basement. And like small glimpses like that, that's like God's work, bro. Because if you, the only reason I'm saying this is because what you didn't know and I didn't know, I was completely depressed for season 4. That wasn't me, which is so weird. Now when I go back, the reason I'm looking around too is because, bro, I get like deja vu because whoever was on autopilot for you in season 4, it wasn't me.
Holy shit! Really?
Like, I felt like I was watching myself from a third person point of view because I didn't realize that I was depressed. I didn't realize
you were feeling that way during season.
Bro,
I didn't know
completely
that. I mean, I know there were some glimpses, like you were telling me some things, but
yeah.
So you were looking back.
You know, when I look back now, it's just like I can see myself, and that what. Not that I'm not saying you didn't get the best out of me. You probably did get the best autopilot version from Puca, but
that was a good version. that was not bad.
That was mostly you. Like that was. If anyone wants to say anything, PCP season 4 was, you know, BVM. Wasn't me. I wasn't making decisions. I wasn't like, you know, like you can probably even say this to me, like anything that you wanted, like anything that you advised, I would do. I just do it. And I'm saying there weren't good advices because I'm still using that today, but I took that from that. You know what I'm saying? Like
So
that wasn't me. That was you cooking. And it was just me bringing the guests. That's all I was doing.
Wow. I've never, that's the first time here. God bless.
Yeah, because I've been given time to reflect. And I'm very grateful that you were there for season 4. I don't think that I would have season 4. I think I would have stopped probably doing the pod if it wasn't for you because I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I didn't even realize I didn't realize I was in depression until I finally had a speech with my mom, which was already done. Remember I told you I was taking a little break?
Yeah.
So within that little break, I'm telling you, timing's perfect. Within that little break, that's when I finally developed the courage to tell my mom that I was in the shithole. And that's when my mom gave me another like beautiful speech where she was just like, she's like, I'm a ride or die. She's like, you're not. She's like, David, get that shit out of your head. As in, like, we've seen dirt. Dirt's not a problem to me. If you had to bring us back to dirt, that's fine. I've lived through dirt.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? And it was just like, it was a realization that I was just like, fuck. Like, I've seen dirt. Not dirt, but I've seen pretty poor. You know, I'm grateful that I haven't seen super poor, but I've seen poor where we had to help. Everyone has to pull up their own weight.
Yeah.
When you have more than one person pulling up their own weight, like that's when you know that you're kind of poor. When it takes 4 to 6 people to keep the rent paid, that's poor. Because if one person just fucking dies or gets sick or something like that happens, that's when you realize like, oh shit, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So when she gave me that speech, I was able to finally like the old David was like, all right, time to take control of my body again. That's when I snapped out of it. That's when I started making really big decisions, and a lot of big decisions that I fucked up on because I wasn't taking guidance of God. I was taking guidance of emotion, but it was like the first step to get me back into the driver's seat with my own body. And as the decisions kept going, I noticed I made a lot of bad ones and a lot of good ones. And I was like, all right, what do I do from here? Like, where do I go from here that makes me realize that I'm doing the right thing, right?
Right.
So then out of nowhere, I started seeing George Janko come up. I started seeing a lot of religious stuff coming up. This time, it was like going differently. I was listening with an interest.
Like as a student.
Started noticing the difference. It's like, my first question was, why is this happening to me?
It's always that question. Yeah.
Like, who did I piss off in this world to give me such a shitty chapter? Remember taking the first step. Sometimes it's about chapters, right?
Yes.
And I was just like, who's giving me this shitty chapter, and why is it happening? Right? And when I started realizing, like, when I read more of the Word of God, I won't lie to you, I haven't opened my Bible yet, but when I started researching more of the Word of God through TikToks, through people that are influencers in religion, in religious aspects, through people that, it didn't even have to be Christian. It was like Christianity people. It was people that were Jewish, people that were Islam. When they were preaching this Word of God, it was like, it made sense finally. You know what I mean?
Dude, you are cooking right now. You are doing some good stuff. Wow. Yeah. Like, and you actually started reading the Bible at this point now.
Yeah, recently. Yeah.
And which is
my Bible, which I've never opened my Bible.
I'll be honest. I'll say this right now. I've never opened one and read I've read a few passages. I've heard some sermons and gospels in the church, but I've never physically opened up the book and said I'm going to read. And you have.
I finished Genesis, which is the first chapter. It's the first main, story on Exodus. I'm halfway done with Exodus. Then so yeah, this is all me voluntarily doing it now.
Yeah, and you change this is what's so fascinating. Like, you realize when at that point where you were down in the dirt, like, so to speak, how you described that. And you went to your mom at your most vulnerable point in your life. And you said, "Mom, I don't know if I could do this, and I don't know what to do." And she was just like, "You know what, David? Like, we have seen worse, and I believe in you, and we will get through this." And that changed everything. And that is, I was tearing up a little bit because that's tough, man. Like, that is the most real it gets in life. Is like when you hit these points in your life, and then you make those critical decisions. And instead of blaming the world, which you were doing before in a way,
absolutely,
you change that and look at the difference.
Yeah, man. No, you're 100% right. You hit it beautifully with that. I didn't even mention that. I mean, you hit it perfect on the dot. I was a pointing a finger guy, and
I was the same.
Yeah, and I had a lot of people don't know because I don't talk about this, but I had a lot of hatred and resentment towards a brother. Personal family issues, and I blamed a lot of it on him. I blamed a lot of it on situations that arose through my family, and I felt like, oh no, like I'm there's no way it could be me. It's not me. I was given the short end of the stick. It's not fair to me. It's not. I was playing this victim card where I was like, I'm doing everything. I've worked 3 years. I've done this. I've accomplished so much. I'm the first Puca to have a degree. The first Puca to finish high school. Like, it can't be me. I'm doing everything right. Going against everything that was written before me 10 times better. And I always had a good heart. I always said, like, there's no way this could be happening to me with me, such a good heart. And I'm going through a whole 180 right now with you. That is what I learned about in Jordan Peterson was sacrifice, which is why that resonated with me so much, because when he mentioned that story about which someone in the Bible stating that it was Cain and Abel. Cain was resentful because his older brother was getting everything. It's like, this is not fair. I'm doing the same thing. I'm giving 100%. And then when he went to God and basically said, what about me? Like, I'm doing everything right. And why is 80?
Mm.
And then God said, talk. Say you're giving, how much of a percentage are you giving? You're giving 200% every day. Like, how am I not getting,
But he's
everything?
really giving like 25.
But he was really giving just half of that, which
Yeah.
was giving 50% of everything that he was doing. And he said that it hit something. I was just like, I was getting tearful at the Peterson thing because I'm Cain. I'm someone that says all the time I'm giving 200%, but am I really? No. It's easy to say you're giving 200%, but you want to know what's giving 200%, bro? When I did wake up from my going back to my other story, when I did realize that, my mom spoke to me and everything, that is when that I had a lot more to give. That's when everything made sense to me. Everything clicked. Because I said to myself, I'm not working 2 to 3 jobs anymore. I'm working one. I got a better one. I thought by getting another one, that was going to solve my problems. And when I looked and budgeted everything, numbers didn't make sense. If I would have, what God did was like, all right, I'm going to give you a door. I'm going to give you more money. But at the same time, everything you said you were going to do during your first job, you still need to do with your second job. And I didn't do that. I got one job. I got to the next one with a higher paying thing, but I was still supposed to be doing like hustling. I was still supposed to hustle. I didn't. I got comfortable again. And that's the part where I want people, if you get anything out of this, only you know your true problem. And if you want to put like a curtain on your own problems and you say, yeah, no, I'll deal with this later. Trust me. I think you said this in taking the first step. That shit will come back 10 times worse because you did not decide to deal. That's what I realized about life. It's like not put problems aside. Even I get it. Sometimes we're tired. Sometimes we're exhausted and we don't want to deal with it today. Just know you're going to have to deal with it eventually. And if you don't deal with it early, it's going to be a lot worse. And it's probably going to happen when you feel a lot worse anyways. So you might as well deal with it then than not having to worry about it anymore. No matter how difficult it's going to be. And that's what I learned. I learned by listening to a lot of great episodes of people that come from religious backgrounds. I just learned that I didn't have true faith. I didn't know what the fuck I was believing in. Like, how do you believe in something you don't even know the fucking back ends to it? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's like a one-sided belief.
Yeah, and you can struggle with God. That's what the Peterson books probably is all about.
Yeah, who wrestle with God. Yeah, it's a constant battle. Constant.
It makes sense. It makes sense. There are gonna be times in your life where you're not happy. You have to speak to Him. Like, what's going on, man? Like, I've been doing everything you said, and then you'll know. He'll remind you, like, oh, have you? Like, is this really like? Have you been putting everything forward? Have you been doing everything right? And that's why people need to look in the mirror sometimes and be like, I haven't.
Oh, that was beautiful, bro. Honest to God, you shared a lot, and I'm just so happy that things are moving in a better direction for you, because just knowing you personally and knowing the peripherals and more of the backstory, like, a lot of people would not take a foot forward in that situation, and that was a lot. That showed an immense amount of humility, and you need to hear that. Because, like,
I'm gonna watch the episode.
Yeah, like, bro, like, at that point when you see, like, to even admit something like I feel like I was Cain in this point in my life, or I had tendencies like Cain. Cain is like the absolute worst. I would never.
Cain is the reason why we suffer.
Yeah.
I mean, not Cain. Really, Adam and Eve, if you read the Bible, but because they're the first person, people
First people.
bite into the apple, and then because of that, we knew everything. Because of that, that's the first sin committed, where we are not walking in the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
But Cain and Abel, basically, to summarize a quick story, it's like one brother's jealous of the other one because he thinks he's giving 100%, and he's truly not. he lets resentment and evil thoughts get to him when he realizes that he's just surrounded with this evilness, and what he does that he thinks is right at that moment is he kills his brother. And then when he kills his brother, he realizes, shit, that was not the right move. God confronts him. All right, now just know what you did was fucking horrendous, going to suffer, and so is the future of all your babies and all your offsprings. And that's what we had, just generate like kids on kids on kids on kids after Cain that were just completely harmful. And that is, and then remember I told you that was like the bridge to me understanding Genesis a little bit more during Peterson's speech. That is why he uses Noah's Ark, which I didn't know. I was reading, like, I remember I told you, yeah. So like maybe I do need Bible study, and I eventually will get into one.
I mean, it's a good start. Yeah, what you're doing right now.
Yeah, man. And then that's what made me understand the Noah story a lot better. I'm like, oh, so God was aware of all these horrible. They were good blended with the bad, but there was mostly bad going on. He goes and his Noah Ark story, and that's a beautiful story that you guys should read on your own. And you don't, and even if you don't believe in religion, completely fine, because I'm a person that's not going to push you or look at you differently, because that is not what I'm here for. I was just that same person majority of my life. And it makes sense. Like, a lot of people don't want to open that side of themselves, which is completely fine. But go and read the Bible and be your own judge. Don't judge the Bible and you don't even know 2 sentences from the Bible. It's like telling me, like, yo, you went to see that movie? I didn't go see it, and you did, and I tell you that movie's ass.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And a lot of people that criticize the Bible and stuff, they haven't opened it. I'm that person. I'm telling you right now. Like, I've never opened the Bible. I have some criticisms of it from stories I've heard. But I've started to learn, like people are trying to get too scientific with the Bible. Oh, it's impossible that Adam and Eve were the first people scientifically because we evolved from apes and all this nonsense. Mm-hmm. They are failing to understand the quintessential point is that these stories are not meant for scientific 100% factual evidence of things. They're stories. They're stories to illustrate how morality is to be, what type of morality that Christianity is, pursuing. And they're illustrating all of that through stories. And it's not supposed to be a 100% account of history, because that's not what it's meant for. That's not what it's meant to do. And another thing with the Bible and other religious stories is it's a framework. It doesn't have all the answers. It's a constantly evolving narrative that's over millennia. It's not over a day where I sat down.
Or 100 years.
Yeah, it's over
hundreds of years.
Hundreds and hundreds. It's collective human morality put into these stories. And it's incredible that it's still being read today. Like, that has to scream to you. At least if you're not a religious person, fine. Not a problem. But you got to respect the Bible. You got to respect all these other religious texts because they've stood the test of time more than your damn history book, okay?
You probably don't even know.
That you don't even know either. Like, at least, like, come on now.
It's good that you mentioned that too. And people that are, I think, scared of the Bible or scared of being judged too, I will say this too. Someone that's literally only on the second book, right? Get to the battles of don't be afraid, and because, like, when you're first opening your Bible, you're gonna read and be the judge to your own judgment on that book. The deeper you go into it, and the deeper you go into religion, you will obviously face different obstacles. A lot of people don't like religious people because they're very hard, very extreme.
Fundamentalists.
And like what you just said right now, it would have gotten Christian right now really. You said, oh, it does. There, a lot of it doesn't really believe in like, a lot of it can't be proven. But then a real hardcore Christian will be like, no, that's not true. Like, I can prove it to you, and they'll make you. And that's what Christians need to stop doing, especially for the beginners. Stop judging them for what they're. The fact that they open the book is beautiful in itself. They're taking the first step, and then when they're someone that's a little bit more seasoned, then if you want to not argue, but you want to talk your valid points, you can, because now they have a better understanding of the book. And they're willing to have more of an openness than they were when they didn't even open the fucking book in the first place.
Yeah.
Don't scare someone from opening the Bible from the very beginning. That's the biggest problem right now with religion. It doesn't even have to be Christianity. It could be the Quran, the Bible. It's a lot of it. And I just learned this, and people are gonna call me ignorant, but it made me laugh. I didn't even know that the Old Testament is the same thing that the Jewish people read.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, we have the same beginning. Genesis is for us, the Christians, and it's for the Jewish people. Hopefully you can Google me on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Because Christ grew up a Jew.
Well, yeah.
Right. Jesus was Jewish.
Yeah.
So
that part, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons. I mean, he didn't just preach. When he talks about Moses, when he talks about David, when he talks about Solomon, Jesus references all these people. That's from the Old Testament. And that's what the Jewish people were preaching. By the way, I also want you guys to know that there's a great show on called The Chosen, like on Peacock. It's also free, I think, on their website, which I just realized that a lot later when I got to Peacock. But that also was a great bridge to opening the Bible. There's two things that opened my Bible. It was Chosen, the series, and Johnny Chang, which I told you about at the diner the other day, is the two major influences for me. And no, I'm sorry, three. It's Johnny Chang, Chosen, and Cliff. And I got to give George Jenko his shout outs because he had both those people on his podcast.
Cliff, I forgot how to pronounce his last name.
Niket, I think. Niket or Kanet, something like
that. Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah. That guy. Really doing God's work, man. Trying to preach to. It is extremely difficult to try to argue against someone who's only using a scientific framework. This is another thing. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
People limit themselves to scientific frameworks to understand the text. This is another problem I have. If you limit your framework to something that is scientific, you ignore the actual parts of the Bible that are not supposed to be scientific. My earlier point, where you can't treat everything as scientific and use that framework to justify everything. You can for objective reality. That's fine. But if you're trying to understand the Bible or the Quran or the Old Testament or any of these religious books, and you're trying to grab information from it and wisdom, extract that out from the millennia of, the millennia of composing those books.
Can I give you an example to what I think you're trying to explain?
It's taking me a bit, but
no, because by you saying that, it triggered something that
sure.
There's a big right now. There's always been a big war on science and religion, obviously.
Yes.
But the main one they always talk about is how tells you how humans are created is through Adam and Eve. Science tells you no, it's through evolution. That is like a big thing that they can't agree on and they won't agree on. But I always say like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Both can be true.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's yes. I don't know how you did it, but he extracted it out. Both can be true. It depends on the framework. If you're doing a scientific framework, you might conclude that, it wasn't Adam and Eve and it was, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we evolved from primates. That's fine. That's not a problem. But you've limited, because you've drawn that conclusion, you've essentially thrown away the text. Why would you want to throw away the text? It definitely, even if there's barbaric things in the text that we wouldn't do today, you're forgetting that we evolved that's what we were doing back then. So there is wisdom to be drawn from that. And so we should understand even the barbaric stuff that we were doing back then, because it got us to this point today. You can't jump. You can't say, oh, let's do away with all of that 100%. And because we've figured it out all now. We've only figured that out because we've understood the text and been able to use modern, day life and all of the things that we know today to say, okay, maybe we don't need to do that. It's an evolution. You don't get to 2024 thinking without going through, the morality taught in all these texts.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I mean, that's probably the biggest struggle that I'm probably, funny that we keep referencing Peterson's book. That's probably the biggest struggle I have with my Bible right now is just that, Johnny, the guest on George Janko's podcast, says it perfectly. It is so hard not to put your intrusive thoughts when reading the book. Because there's something that might trigger you that's said in the Bible that's a little bit strict. It might be like, I don't like that. But it's like, it's not really what the fuck you like. Let that shit go. Read it without emotion like that yet. Take it in, read more, and until you read the whole book, then if you have questions, that's where you have to privatize it or speak to somebody that can give you wisdom that comes from more of a thorough religion background that had more experience with, it's not their first time reading the Bible. It's maybe like their 30th time or 40th time. Or your priest might be able to help you understand a certain verse better, or a certain chapter. It's just like, it's like anything. Like, it's like reading a book for the first time.
Yeah.
You like it. There's some things you don't like about it. But then, like, you hear about those readers that say, oh, you know what? I might want to read this again. Right?
Second
to get a better understanding. Maybe something I missed. Right? And most good readers will tell you, oh, there is something I missed. There was a clue. I
love that you just said that. That applies to everything in life.
Yeah, exactly.
The first pass of whatever you think is objective, 100%, it's not. It never is. And you can do this with any example where you could say, we believe that these were the first humans, or we evolved from this. That's first pass thinking. It's an evolution. And I'm not saying we can't draw wisdom from that. What I'm saying is, as we revisit and try to understand all those things, yes, that's where your collective knowledge actually begins to grow. And all I wanted to say with that whole thing with the Bible is like, don't if you don't agree on one thing, don't throw away the whole text. There's a lot of wisdom to be drawn. You don't have to be a stickler for it to be 100% historically accurate. And I'll give flack for saying that, like you mentioned before, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, we're trying to evolve our knowledge. Whether it's through the text, whether it's scientific, it doesn't matter what it is.
Facts.
We're trying to evolve our knowledge, and we should never be quick to throw anything away.
Yeah.
Because it fails in one framework of scientific, like, okay. And
I get where you're coming from. And I mean, it's always going to be a battle between science and religion, because the only reason I don't take science to the fullest effect of me believing in everything that science says now is because, just like what you said, science evolved. There was a point where we thought the earth was flat, right?
Yep.
That was actually a thing.
The earth was the center of the solar system.
Earth was the center of the solar system. We thought that we were the only people, within this, we still haven't discovered that. But we didn't think there was more than one universe. We discovered that later. We discovered there was more planets.
We didn't even know there was other continents some time ago.
Exactly.
Like, come on now.
Science is completely building. Yeah. And, the more and more, we haven't even found out our true history on this world. And yet we have people exploring outside of it. And do I think that's a good idea? Yeah. If you have the money and resources to do it, and that's your vision and that's your purpose for the world, let Elons be Elons, right? But the people that are still discovering this world, did you realize, I don't know if you saw the news, but they just discovered another scripture that came out of, I believe it's Israel, where they literally, there's a stone piece where it says that it admits in that stone, it's over 1,800 years ago, this is Jesus is God.
Oh my God.
They just found it. Yeah.
And it's a physical thing.
It's a physical thing.
There you go.
Yeah. From 1,800 years ago, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, if people say, where's the proof? Where's the scripture? Where's that?
I'll tell you that's saying something at the very least in the direction.
We know that Jesus was a real person.
Yeah.
Like, when people say, oh, Jesus wasn't even real, like, that's already
scientifically,
that's false. That's actually false. people that are using that as a thing to try to push God away from us, that part was what you just said was completely fake news.
And you'll hear a lot of counter arguments be like, well, did you see God? Or did you see Jesus? And of course you're going to say no. Well, why do you believe that? You have heard sufficient enough proof, warranted the thing that you just described, the stone, and the stories, and the fact that almost every human being knows the word Jesus is enough for you to extract. We live in an a priori structure. We can't know everything. We have to make assumptions at the end of the day about something.
Jesus is the only prophet technically that's in all like text. I didn't know that. I just learned.
He's the only prophet?
Jesus is in the Quran. Like he's known as a prophet to God.
Wow. Like, man, we're more connected than I think we're different. It's insane.
Yeah, like Jesus is known to be a real individual. Buddha's practice a lot of what Jesus says. Because that's also what I wanted to get to say in the beginning of everything. Even if you're not a believer, read the Bible, because if you like, I'm not, obviously, please don't shit on me for saying this, but if you like things like Harry Potter, Star Wars, and all that, read the Bible, because you would be surprised at how many stories there you would be able to just fully blow your imagination into and be a fan of just the book, the Bible. If we didn't attach you have to be a believer to the to the book Bible, you'd probably read it and be like, holy shit, this is a great book.
It's a great book.
Great stories.
It just has a negative connotation today by attaching the word Jesus. But you're saying the book itself stands on its own, regardless of your belief.
Book, right? I'm only on the Exodus.
And that's incredible.
And it's just it's such a great read. It just makes your imagination go everywhere. And you'll know, especially if you are becoming a believer, things that you're willing to let go of. Like I said to you, like I had such anger towards my brother. The Bible and all this practice of being closer to God, being closer to Jesus, and praying and changing my habits showed me that anything is possible. I forgave my brother. Me and him had an encounter, and we gave each other. I opened his eyes, he opened mine. The only reason obviously this doesn't sound profound to everyone, but like there was a point where, you know, fists were gonna get thrown. And, you know, from the corner of my eye, I just saw my little Jesus piece, and I was like, I pointed at it, said, bro, I'm not going to hate that man right there. God. I've devoted myself to him lately, and I'm telling you, when we confronted each other, I really wanted him.
Jesus.
And when it came down to looking, just a glimpse of Jesus in my life, just a glimpse from the corner of my eye, you guys can picture, just look in the corner of your eye, and you barely see anything. But I saw a religious piece, a thing that I have over my bed, and it changed my whole outlook. And instead of fighting my brother, I said, you know what? I said the words, I'm sorry for ever putting any blame on you. Like exactly what you said to me. I took ownership, and I blame myself. Sorry, I ever. And I saw my brother, he wanted to cry too, and he just went away from me. We rehashed things after that, hugged it out, said love. But love, forgiveness, chapter in my life. And when I said all those words, bro, I'm telling you, all the stress and everything that I felt shitty about and everything that I felt horrible about left my body. I have been so at peace in the last month and a half, maybe 2 months now at this point. I felt great, man. You have no idea. Like I'm so at peace right now.
True humility. That's exactly what that is. And you know what? Without even getting too personal into the details, you probably were right feeling that way in the very beginning, and things should have been better for you. But the whole point of what you did is, well, you can't control other people. The only thing you can do is control yourself, and that's what you did. And that led you to enlightenment. You saw the real light. You didn't turn on a flashlight.
You know what I felt like it was? Is actually you mentioning that. You remember old cartoons where you have the devil and the angel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Throughout the whole time that I had, when my brother encountered me, I heard a voice in my head saying, hit him, hit that motherfucker. and you know, my blood's boiling up, and he's saying all the wrong thing. He's purposely choosing all the wrong words to say to me, and it's just, and then I'm
Testing it.
vocalizing all my I'm saying all the bad things that have happened to me. So it's just my anger, my blood pressure's up. I'm 30. You know, my blood pressure's probably crazy. Like everything was leading for me to hit him. Like the devil was saying, hit that motherfucker. That guy is the reason why you're in this position. All it took was one glimpse of me to look that way, and it said, say it. And I'm like, I forgive you.
People think this is hyperbole, but that is exactly what happened. Like, that's how strong your belief is now. Like, you ever look, like, if this is going to sound crazy, you ever look at a photo of a loved one that was lost, it's no longer part, and it's just like any other photo physically, scientifically.
Trailer goes in your head. Like a movie trailer of that person.
But completely different experience, right? That's exactly what you're illustrating here. I just wanted to help illustrate that because it sounds hyperbolic. Like, no, really? You just glance? Yeah.
Time was so slow for me.
Yeah.
Time was so slow for me because everything was pointing at hit him. From my feelings, from my heart, from my brain, from the little voice in my head telling me to hit him. Like, this is the guy that caused you all the pains. You're letting him have it. You're telling him everything he's done to you. Every bad choice he's done. Everything pointed at me to hit him. And it just took one little glimpse of God to remind me, is like, what have we been working? And I was like, and you know, the funny part is, I didn't think that, like, you know what I'm saying? When I said, I forgive you, and he left, I didn't think about, like, stress leaving me. That's not what came to my head. In my head, it was still hit him, you know?
You acted differently.
But when he left, bro, like, when I tell you, it felt like, this is going to sound, if it just felt like everything that was bothering me, like, I can't even put it into words. Everything was just gone.
It's just, you finally had the moment where you were about to collide and you decided against it. And that released all of the, like, it didn't release the stress or pain, but
it definitely released the stress, man. It released
the stress, yeah. It didn't release the pain. Not in that moment, probably.
Not at that very second,
but the stress, like, oh my God, wow, it actually turned out good.
Yeah.
It somehow turned out good.
Yeah. What released the pain, it's perfect that you said that, was a phone call from him. And when he called me, he was basically like, don't say anything. I didn't even have to say, he said it. He goes, bro, I love you. I can't believe he was listening. It's crazy. I guess because I felt like if I was saying that to him, he was ready to hit me too. Because he didn't feel, he's like, oh, you trying to hit me? He's like, oh, word? Because I said that. I said to him I was going to hit him. But when he called me and he said, don't say anything. So I want you to know that I love you. I never thought that I was hurting you. I never thought that I was selfish. And he's like, I'm going to help you from now on. You're not. We're in this together. And when he said that to me, my heart opened up. I didn't feel anger anymore. Like, it's like I was already done with the stress, but I didn't feel anger. I said to him, I love him back. I forgive you again. And of course, we're in this together.
Now you're a big team now.
Yeah. And then obviously the blessings came with it. You know, God, you know, gave me many blessings with it, because a lot, I'll admit this in camera. I don't mind if you, by the way. A lot of it, what I do, I take care of my parents. So it puts a lot of stress on me financially, because sometimes my parents aren't the smartest with their money. Also, I feel like I shouldn't be taking too much from them because they're on a retired income. I also, my parents help me out with what they can with their own habits, right? Like when it comes to food shopping, they use my credit card, but then I take their money and I pay it back. But they don't understand, like, I also have my own bills. I've fucked up a lot. I haven't made the smartest choices, which I'm working on now. But a lot of that builds a lot of, stress, a lot of burden.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time ever, my brother and my sister are helping me. Ironically, why this year, when I get closer, like, it can't be coincidence. It's definitely not coincidence. They just started helping me this year while everything is happening. You know what I mean? Like, for anyone to say that's coincidence, you can believe that it's coincidence, but I know deep down who's the one doing it. Who opened their hearts? Who put bridges on my heart to their hearts to back to my parents' heart? Because it's been 4 years that I've been not living in that other house.
And
Like,
supporting.
where was the bridge before? Like, for people to say, like, where's the proof? There is proof.
You see how you didn't have control over them, but you've changed yourself, and then you gain more control. It's oh my god.
Yeah, man. So for people to say that, like,
Wow.
you know, what you know, faith is the things that you can't point at and say that's proof. It's the things you can't. It's like love is an intangible thing.
Mm.
You know,
So
that's why they say love is the biggest gift from God. Pain's also another big gift from God, because without pain, you don't know love. If you think you've known love, then get ready for pain.
You'll know pain sooner.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And God tested me this year. I mean, bro, we're talking about in the year that I fell into my depression, I had financial burdens. I lost what I thought was going to be my wife, and I wish her nothing but the best. And that's also another way I realized that I've come to true like peacefulness, because I can look at her and wish her good 100%. I wish she finds somebody that loves her the way she needs to be loved, unconditionally loved, but she deserves the very best. She was there for my great side. She fell in love with a great David Puca that was becoming a better human being. COVID came, and I started letting myself become my worst enemy. I'm not blaming it on COVID, but everything after COVID, it just went downhill for me.
Mm.
And of course, she's going to unfall in love with that guy, because I was a horrible version of myself, and I was blaming everyone. But when you start doing that, you lose everybody. God reminded me, you're going to lose everything. And for people that think that, and I want people to know this, for people that think, oh, what does this kid know about? In 2020, I had money. I had about, with my dad and me combined, I had about over $80,000. I was one contract away of signing and buying my first house in Oceanside. I had a dog that loved me. I had my mom, my dad, my brother all on my side. And I had a family. I was living under one roof, which was perfectly happy at the time. What did God do when I started blaming everybody else? I lost all my money. My dog got hit. My dog got into 2 surgeries that cost me about $20,000, in total. My dad my dad got into a horrible accident. People started getting hospitalized. But what did God do after all that? With all that happening, created chaos in my family. My brother did some things that I'm not going to speak about on this podcast, but did some things that are definitely unforgivable for most people's eyes. And it made me turn my back on him. And I put myself in my own hell. And God still sent a beautiful person to go support me emotionally, but she did. She did her role in whatever she was supposed to do, and she saw something beautiful turn to ugly. And I don't blame her for wanting out. I mean, I hold no resentment there. But God needed to remind me, all right, like, you're creating your own chaos. You're closing the door on me. You're not looking to me. You're not doing anything good for yourself, your family. You're saying you're doing 100, but you're really another Cain. You're doing half the shit, and you keep fucking looking at everybody and saying it's his fault, their fault, that fault. I'm taking her too. And boom, bro. When she was finally gone, was it. I was in a dark room by myself, and nobody was coming to get me. Finally realized there was a guy that turned on the candle. I looked up, it was Jesus. I was like, oh shit, you haven't left me. Of course I never left you. Like, I needed you to remember what this was. You've been here before. You still choose to open the doors to come back to the place that I'm trying to get you out of. So for people saying that I wasn't there, bro, I was there. I had everything. I had everything. I was ready to be a homeowner. I was going to buy my first home, bro. Like, it's crazy to tell you. I had everything. I had no car bill. I had no fucking everything I did. It was the height of my life. Existence, bro.
And then it turned completely on its head through things out of your control. And then you looked within and you said, regardless of what just happened, you improved your relationship with the Lord, and you changed everything through humility. And I think that is the biggest takeaway on who Puca is. You guys should watch his podcast. It's incredible.
Yeah, man.
It's incredible, dude. I watched this all year, like kind of on the sidelines, hearing about what's going on. You telling me some things, and I was like, damn, is he gonna pull through? Does he have it? You know, and you certainly did, man.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, it means a lot that, and you to say all this here, like,
Yeah, man.
you get to learn.
Yeah. I didn't say the shit like that in PCP, bro. I let the guests talk.
No, I mean,
You did a great job, by the way. The guests spoke.
I gotta let you. Yeah, then you
Yeah,
fucking
great host,
delivered.
Great host.
You delivered, man. And I guess we can end it pretty soon. I want to end on one thing.
Yeah, of course, man.
And then you can have final words. I always give the guests final words.
Where we got that from?
There was a quote. So we talked about Jordan Peterson earlier.
Yes,
there was a quote. He quoted Carl Jung, and the quote was, "If you don't believe in God, you aren't looking low enough." And I just want that to sit. Like, most people don't look low enough. Like, they stopped at the Bible, right? They don't look lower and lower and lower, the hierarchy, all the way to the root of existence and to perception and thought. And they don't look even deeper than that. When you look into those levels and even deeper, you're going to understand you really know nothing. And there has to be something. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be something. And that's what most people, I think, ascribe to God. It's that something that fills in the blanks. And you want to use science to describe it? Be my guest. You know, it might never be complete. There are things that science will never be able to explain. Like, tell me what's inside of a black hole. Scientifically, you'll never know the answer. You just can't. It's a fundamental limit that we know of.
Do you know Andrew Huberman, scientist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Andrew Huberman? Yeah.
Yeah. So you almost quoted something that he said. He said the more you go deeper into science, he said something really beautiful. Hopefully I'm not. The deeper you go, the closer you are to understanding that there is a creator.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe that it's God. That's your right to not. But how do you look more and more into science and say to yourself, there's not a creator? There has to be. Because we're atoms.
We're fundamentally atoms, quarks.
Yeah. You know, one single thing that doesn't work correctly in our body cease to exist or not do something humans. And even the world's the same way. I mean, you hear some shows reference it, like, you know, what's that show? The kid from that show. Shelton. No, Shelton. What's that?
Sheldon something? Yeah.
Have you seen that famous like scene where he's talking to his mom? He goes like, if Earth was just one, if the moon wasn't that close to Earth would not be able to we wouldn't be able to rotate or something about.
Like the exact conditions for life are so exact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That has to be proof that there's God or somebody, constructing this.
Yeah, man. We could go. I would love to even go further in how exact things and the laws of physics and all of that. If they change slightly, you get no life. You get either the universe collapses on itself or the universe expands into, they call it the big freeze. And it's incredible that the parameters that make up the universe are exact, and they're decimal expansions, like pi is.
Yeah.
Pi is a decimal expansion. You'll never know the last digit.
Correct.
And so if you're going to use pi in any of your equations and you want to tell me that something's exact, sorry, buddy.
They're even finding out. Didn't they just find out too that the Big Bang wasn't even the beginning of? Technically, it's relative to what time is. Like, you're not using time as a measurement, what was the beginning?
I don't even know. I don't know about that, but it'd be interesting to look into. But even part of this podcast, just so people know, like I'm a big science person. Blazar, I'm not talking about like Blaze 420. I'm talking about black holes when they emit light. People,
White light, right?
yeah, they emit an incredible amount of energy, and they're called quasars. But when when it's aimed towards Earth, it's called a blazar, which is very rare, and it is absolutely deadly. But it's laser focus because quasars are extremely concentrated points of energy. But when it's aimed towards Earth, they call it a blazar, and it has to have that scary name because it would literally eviscerate all life on the planet. Like it's not if a blazar hit Earth for one, what is it? It's like a tenth of a millisecond or even less of time. It would wipe everything off the planet. It wouldn't even be like you wouldn't even have a planet. Like they're extreme amounts of energy. But
You just talked. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about fucking Snoop Dogg.
no, yeah, that's where Blazar vision is like. The vision is very focused. It's to learn and to grow and to develop into the best possible person. That's Blazar Vision Media.
That's crazy.
How would you like to end? What's your end notes?
Damn, bro, I'm put on the spot. I don't even know.
Where to find you? You saw that.
Let me see. Ending, I guess, would be really simple. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too. If you want to improve, do something about it. And if doing something about it doesn't lead you to searching things about history, you're going the wrong. Because I feel like everything's in history. You want to make sure that you want to be a better person, well, learn about what other people did. Use people as references. You don't have to look to God right away if that's not something that intrigues you. Look at people that have done it before. There are plenty of people out in the world. David Goggins, the Jordan Petersons, the Joe Rogans, the people that are literally kind of started with nothing to become somebody. And I bet you that maybe 5 out of 10 times they're always going to God.
Oh, many of them do, yeah.
Yeah, not all of them, because Joe Rogan's not a believer that there might be a creator or that we're living in a weird kind of universe because
But he's very open. He's open. He'll still hear people out.
And that's also the part that I'll end it with too. But this is beautiful that you mentioned that. You just saying this. You don't have to unfollow somebody because you don't have the beliefs of them. I'm a big believer in God, but Rogan isn't. And I still take a lot of lessons from God because he's someone that literally came from nothing to become somebody. And he's always, the one pattern I've seen with his life, he's always worked on his craft. That will get you.
David Puca.
Thank you. Yo, it's not recording, by the way. I'm fucking with you.
That's how we ended.